Okay, also 3.6 deals with solving applied problems. So when we see applied problems, we're talking about word problems. So before I actually start with the systems of equations, we're going to translate a sentence just so that y'all can see how we got to start these equations, okay? So for this example, the translation. So when they say translation, they're wanting us to take something out of a word problem type situation and put it into a mathematical expression. So the translation of the statement the first number is 50 more than the sum of the other two numbers. So y'all basically they want us to translate this statement. This first number is 50 more than the sum of the other two numbers. Well, let me put my S there. So remember, is means equals. So when we see is, that means equals. So y'all, my first number, I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to call that X. And then I got my equals because of the is. And then it says 50 more than the sum of the other two numbers. So we don't know those other two numbers. So I'll let that be Y and Z. And remember, sum means they're added. Now we got to figure out, so sum, that meant adding. Now 50 more, remember that means addition. So 50 more would be plus 50. So this is what our sentence translated into. But what they want us to do with this to get you ready for tonight's lesson is to rewrite this in standard form. So to be in standard form, everything has to be on one side equal to the number. So we want all of our variables on the left side, and we're going to put them in alphabetical order. So I need to move the Y and the Z to the other side. So you ought to move the Y since it's positive. I'm going to subtract the Y from both sides. And I'm also going to subtract the Z because it's positive on that side. So now none of these are like terms. So I'm just going to put them in alphabetical order. So I'll have my X minus my Y minus my Z on my left side. Now the right side, those Y's canceled, the Z's canceled. So all that's left is our 50. So they're just giving you this problem to get you set up for the word problems. So this would be like y'all's number 2 on 3-6. Number 1 wasn't that bad, so let's start out. We got 3 word problems in 3.6. So let's start out with number 3. So number 3 says in a triangle ABC, the measure of angle B is 4 degrees more than 3 times the measure of angle A. All right, so basically that's my first equation they gave me. Now, the second sentence says the measure of angle C is 41 degrees more than the measure of angle A. So y'all, then they say, hey, find the measure of each angle. So basically we got us a triangle here, A, B, C, and they want us to find the measurement of each one of our angles based off of what they gave us. So let's translate what they're giving us. So they're telling me the measure of angle B. So angle B means equals 4 more than 3 times measure of angle A. So that'll be 3 times angle A plus 4. All right, so that's our first equation. Second equation, they said, well, hey, the measure of angle C, so angle C means equals, is 41 more than the measure of A. So that would be A plus 41. Now, y'all, here's the thing. I got 3 variables, A, B, and C. They only gave me 2 equations. I need a third equation. So my question is, what kind of equation could I come up with that we know about these angles of this triangle?
Is it a squared, b squared, a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
Well, save that one for about another week or two, okay?
Okay.
So there's another thing about those, but you're on the right track. What do we know about these 3 angles? So y'all, what do the 3 angles of a triangle add up to?
180 degrees.
180 degrees. So I know A plus B plus C, all those angles are going to equal 180 degrees. So I'm going to write my system first. I'm going to put my A plus B plus C equals 180. Now remember, these other 2 equations, they want us to get everything on one side equal to a number like we did up here. And we're going to put the columns how we should be. A's in the first column, B's, and then C's. So y'all, this first one, I had B equals 3A plus 4. I need to move the A to the other side, so we need to subtract that 3A from both sides. So this gives me negative 3A plus my B. So that cancels. All that's left is our 4. So my second equation becomes negative 3A plus B equals 4. And we also need to do that to this one. We had C equals A plus 41. So we need to move this A to the left side by subtracting an A. So y'all, that one I get my negative A plus C. Well, on the right side, the A's cancel. All that's left is our 41. So that'll give me a negative A plus my C equals 41. So this is my system I'm going to start solving. Now, y'all, I'm going to pick a variable to eliminate right off the bat. Now, notice this equation doesn't have a C, and this equation doesn't have a B. So what we want to do is either eliminate the B or C, because if I can add these two and get rid of a B, this one will automatically become the second equation because it doesn't have a B. So y'all, let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to eliminate the B. So to eliminate the B, I'm going to add this top equation to this second equation and eliminate the B. But notice they both have positive B's. So I'm going to multiply this second row by -1. By multiplying by -1, I'll make the B negative, and then they'll cancel. So let me bring down my first row. I didn't change it. A plus B plus C equals that 180. Now remember, we're changing the second row. So a negative times a negative makes that a positive 3A. Negative times the B makes that a negative B. And y'all, all this will equal that negative times that 4, which is a -4. All righty, so A and 3A give me 4A. The B's canceled. I got my plus C at the end. And then 180 minus 4 gives us 176. So notice, by adding these two rows, I got this equation. But y'all look, my last equation that I haven't used yet has a negative A plus C equals 41. So it's got the same variables. So that'll become our next system. We got 4A plus C equals 176. So I brought that down to here. And then my second equation will be the one I didn't use up here. Negative A plus C equals 41. So what you'll do on these problems tonight, eliminate one of the variables that's missing. Eliminate that variable and use the remaining equation as your second one down here. So if I'd eliminated the C's using the first and third, then I would use that middle one for its other equation, okay? All right, y'all, so two things. I got C and C. I can multiply one of these by -1 to eliminate the C, or I can multiply this row by 4 and get rid of the A's. So I think this time I'm going to eliminate that A. So remember, to eliminate the A, I need to multiply my second row by 4. So y'all bring down the first row. 4A plus C equaled 176. Multiply this row by 4, we get a -4A plus a 4C equals 164. All right, y'all, look. A's cancel. 1 plus 4 give me 5C. All right, y'all, let me see what I get here. I got what? 176 plus 164. That gives me 340. All right, so the last step, we can now solve for the C. So to solve for C, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So that cancels, giving me my 1C. And then 340 divided by 5 gives me 68. So I now know that this angle C is 68. So y'all let me look at my equations. Here I had, where did I rewrite them at? Oh, right here. So since I know C is 68, I'm going to put a 68 in here and solve for that A. So now we do our back substituting. So I'm going to do negative A plus my 68 has to equal 41. All right, y'all. So subtract 68 from both sides. So I got my negative A. Those cancel. And that's what, a negative 27. But y'all remember, I can't keep my A negative, so I got to divide that by -1 to make it positive. And I'll divide the other side by -1. So I get an A equals a positive 27. So I know C is 68, A is 27. All I got to do is figure out A now. So I'm just going to substitute into my second equation for the B and solve it for the A. So y'all, I'm going to back substitute one more time. So I had -3 times A, which is 27, plus my B has to equal 4. Or y'all could have added them two angles together and subtracted them from the 180 to get that other angle also, okay? All right, so that's -81 plus B equals 4. And y'all, our last step, add 81 to both sides. And look at that. Angle B equals 85. So in Math Lab, they'll have angle A equals, you'll put that number 27. Then it'll say angle B equaled 85. And then angle C was 68. So they'll have it split apart. On these, since this is a word problem, we don't have to put them in the ordered pairs with the parentheses, okay? They'll just have blanks where we'll put each of our answers in. Now, if this was tricky, I got 2 more that are going to set up almost the same way as this one did. Now, y'all, let me tell you this. I'm going to do this on the calculator real quick. But what would we put here since there's not a C on this equation? And then what would we put here since there's not a B? So what y'all think?
0.
I'm going to put a 0. Good job. So remember, I'm going to go to my matrix by hitting second, x -1. I'm going to run over here to edit and enter. Now, we got a 3 by 4, and that's already showing. So I'm going to hit enter on 3, enter on 4. Then we're going to start putting our numbers. I had 1A, so that'd be 1, enter, 1B, enter, 1C, enter, and that equaled 180. Enter. Second row, I had -3A, so -3, enter. 1B, so 1, enter. I had 0C, so I'm going to do 0, enter. And then that row equaled 4, enter. Now my last row, I had a -A, so that's -1, enter. I didn't have a B on the last row, so that would be 0, enter. I had 1C, so that'd be 1, enter. And then that equaled 41. And enter. So all my numbers are up there now. So we're going to quit the screen by hitting second mode. All right, y'all, my matrix is in. So now let's go get the RREF by hitting second X -1, arrow to math, and then arrow down, find RREF and hit enter. That brings the RREF to the screen. So now we need to go get that matrix A. So second X -1. And since I always use A, I just got to hit enter to bring it to the screen, and then enter to get my 3 angles. And y'all look at that. I got my 27. Now remember, there'll be an alphabetical order on the right column. So A would be my 27, B would be my 85, and C would be my 68. So our calculators don't mind helping us on those, okay? All righty, so these other two I'll probably just do by hand. But you'd put them in the calculator the same way, basically. All right, y'all. So this is like y'all's number 4 on the homework. The sum of 3 numbers is 58. So then they say the difference of the largest and smallest is 52. And then finally they say the sum of the 2 smaller numbers is 13. So they gave me 3 sentences for my 3 equations. And y'all, then they say, hey, find the numbers. All right, y'all. So the sum of 3 numbers. Sum means we're adding. So these 3 numbers has got to equal 58. But we don't know those numbers. So we'll come in and put X plus Y plus Z equals 58. And y'all, let me show you what I'm going to let happen here. I'm going to let the X's be my largest number. X's will be my largest number. Y's will be my middle number. And Z will be my smallest. That way I can keep up with everything on these other 2 sentences. So what would y'all put for the difference of the largest and smallest is 52? So what's difference mean?
Subtraction.
So it means subtraction. Now remember, you're subtracting your largest and your smallest. So over here, what would we put?
X minus Y.
Oh, you're so close.
Oh, the middle.
So that's my middle one. So you want to actually
smallest.
Yeah.
So you're going to subtract your Z, and that'll equal what? 52. Now, see what y'all put here. Remember, sum, they want you to put the sum of the 2 smaller numbers is 13. So what y'all putting?
Y plus Z equals
Y
13.
plus Z. There you go. And we said that equaled 13. So y'all look, it sets up like my other one. I would put a 0 for the Y on the calculator, and then down here I would put a 0 for the X. So really similar to the other one. So I would eliminate either the X's or the Y's. Okay. Because that way you can use the third equation as the second one in your new system. So let's see. I think I did X's will go, I think. So y'all, I'm going to eliminate the Y. But me personally, I would either use the X's or the Y's because, like I said, X is missing here and Y is missing there. So if I eliminate the Y, I got my first equation. I'm going to have my X plus Y plus Z equals 58. Now to eliminate the Y, I'm going to have to take this bottom equation because that Y is positive. And I'm going to have to multiply that bottom equation by a -1 so that I can get that Y to be negative. So -1 times Y is a -Y. And y'all are going to love this one. -1 times Z is a -Z. All that's going to equal a -13. Now, y'all, by me picking these Y's, what's happening here? We got our X. But y'all, what happened to my Y's? Well, they canceled. But y'all, guess what else is canceling? My Z's are canceling. So I now know that my X, since those Y's canceled and those Z's canceled, my X is going to equal 58 minus 13, which is 45. So y'all, that worked out really cool for us. Because since I know my X is 45, I can plug it right into this X and solve it for the Z. So I don't even have to do another system of equations. I can actually back substitute at this point. Now, if you eliminated the X's, you would have had a Y and a Z left, and you would have had to use the other equation. But y'all, by eliminating the Y, I lucked out on this one. So I'm going to put that 45 in for this X and get that Z. So I got 45 minus my Z equals 52. All right, y'all, so we're going to subtract 45. I get -Z equals 7. But then remember, can't keep the Z negative, so divide both sides by -1. So that Z actually equals a -7. All right, so I know Z, so I can plug Z in right here and get my Y. So I want to back substitute. Now, you could have used that first equation, but it's got more things to actually plug in to get the Y there, okay? So I'm just going to use this last one. Y, I don't know yet. Plus my Z, well, my Z is a -7. All of that equals 13. All right, y'all, so we're going to come in, add 7 to both sides. And you'll get Y equals 20. So MathLab will want you to say the three numbers from largest to smallest are blank, blank, and blank. So from largest number was 45. My middle number was my Y, which was 20. And then my smallest number was my Z, which was -7. So be careful in MathLab because it wants them in order, like I said, from your largest to your smallest, okay? So y'all, it depends on what variables you eliminate, to how much work you got on these. But y'all, I really lucked out on this one with the y's canceling and the z's, okay? But remember on calculator, 1, 1, 1, 58, 1, 0, -1, 52. And then on the last row, you would have a 0, 1, 1, and 13. Use zeros for those placeholders when you're missing a variable. All right, let me turn my paper. It starts curling up on me. All right, y'all. So one more word problem. So this one deals with how much cholesterol. So they say by eating 1 egg, 1 slice of pizza, 1 egg, 1 cupcake, and 1 slice of pizza, a child consumes 301 milligrams cholesterol. So that's my first equation. Y'all, then they come in and they said, hey, if the child eats 3 cupcakes and 4 slices of pizza, they take in 96 milligrams. Of cholesterol. So I've got 2 sentences. Now the last one says, by eating 3 eggs and 1 cupcake, the child consumes 836 milligrams of cholesterol. So you know what they want? How much cholesterol is in each item? So I guess this is sort of almost like y'all, some of y'all nurses would see this kind of stuff in your nutrition class if you're doing that BSN stuff. All righty, so let's get our 3 equations. 1 egg, 1 cupcake, 1 pizza, 301. So I'm going to have X plus Y plus Z equal 301. So y'all, now let me say, I'm going to let X be my eggs. Y will be my cupcakes. Z will be my pizza. So you want to sort of be able to label what each of your variables is going to represent, okay? Because that's important on the next line. If the child eats 3 cupcakes and 4 slices of pizza, that would give us 96. So I got to find my cupcakes is my Y. So I had 3Y plus 4 slices of pizza would be 4Z. That one's going to equal the 96. All right, so I'll let y'all knock out my last one. Y'all got 3 eggs and 1 cupcake. That's going to equal 836. So what would that be down here?
3x.
So 3x. And then how about my one cupcake?
Plus y.
Plus y. And all of that will equal what I'm saying?
836.
836. Hey, y'all, there's our system. So guess what? I would either eliminate the x's on this one because there's not an x in this one, or I would eliminate the z. So y'all, I guess since I did x's a while ago, I think, I don't remember. How about let's knock out these z's? Now remember, if I want to eliminate these z's, I got a 4z here. I need to make this one a negative 4z. So to make that thing a negative 4z, I'm going to multiply my whole first row by negative 4. So let's bring that one down. I got negative 4x minus 4y minus 4z. All right, negative 4 times 301 gives me what? A negative 1204. So my second row, I'm going to bring down my 3y plus my 4z equals 96. All righty, so bring down that negative 4x. Negative 4y plus 3y leaves me a negative 1y. My z's canceled. So all of this will equal a negative 1204 plus 96, which gives us a negative 1108. So y'all notice I got x's and y's left by doing these first two equations. So that'll be my first equation, negative 4x minus y equals negative 1108. So y'all, what equation am I going to use to add to these? So which one was left? This one right here, right? Because it's got x.
3x plus y.
So the 3x plus the y equaled 836. So y'all can tell me right off the bat what variable we're about to eliminate, right?
Well,
yeah, I don't have to change nothing. Them y's they're smooth, canceled out already, ain't they? Negative y, positive y, they're gone. Negative 4 and 3 give me a negative x. And y'all, let's see, negative 1108 plus 836 gives me a negative 272. But remember, we want our x positive, so divide that by negative 1. And that makes sense. My milligrams have to be positive when I'm done. So all these negative ones are doing is making everything positive. So that I know x, which was my eggs, each of those eggs has 272 milligrams of cholesterol. So y'all, we know x, we can plug in right here and get to y. So now we start back substituting. So 3 of my x's, which is 272, plus my y will equal 836. All right, y'all, so let me figure out what 3 times 272 equals. That's giving me 816. Plus my y equals 836. All right, y'all, final step, get y by itself, subtract 816. So then we come down, those cancel. I got my y by itself. And what's that? Ooh, that's just going to be, looks like 20. So y'all, the eggs, 272 milligrams. Why was my cupcake only had 20 milligrams? So now let's see what's left. Our pizza. So now if I want an easy equation, I could do this one. Now I also know what two of these are, so I could use my top equation. So I ain't used it yet. So let's see. I'm going to back substitute into the top one. X is 272 plus Y was 20. I don't know my Z yet, but I know these all equal 301. Hey, also to solve this, I would add like terms first. So that's going to give you 292 plus Z equals 301. And look at that, our final step, subtract 292. And y'all, let's see, that's going to give me my Z equals
9.
there you go, 9. So I'd have never thought that a pizza would only be 9 milligrams of cholesterol compared to the egg in the cupcake. So I guess when y'all take nutrition, y'all can tell me if that's true or not, okay? So y'all, that's 3.6. The main thing is coming up with your equations based on what they're writing. Once you got your equations, calculator or by hand, okay? Just remember on the calculator, 111 301, 0 3 4 96, 310 836. Keep them variables lined up so that you remember where them zeros are at, okay?
Did you say the second row was? You said it was 0 3 4 96.
Because anything that's missing, you would have a 0 in the calculator.
Okay.
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 So I would have one here for that X and then one here for that Z. Because remember, when you do the 3 by 4 in the calculator, it's going to put 4 numbers on each row, and you got to have at least a placeholder on those. All right, y'all. So then the last chapter for test 1, and this one's not very many problems. I think there's like 5 in here. And this deals with systems of inequalities. And y'all remember, inequalities is like less than, greater than stuff. So here's the thing. When you graph inequalities, you have to figure out if the line you're going to draw it with is a solid line or a dotted line. So the type of line is the first thing we'll look at. So the type of line, you have 2 choices. If it's greater than or equals or less than or equals, you're going to use a solid line. Now, MathLab will have a choice between a solid line and a dashed line, okay? But if it's got equals on it, you're going to use a solid line. If it's greater than or less than, so there's no equals on this. When there's no equals on it, you're going to use a dashed line. Okay? So now remember, to draw lines in MathLab, you use the 2-point line tool. So you're going to choose your line tool and then tell it what kind of line you have based on whether you got the equals or the not equals, okay? So that tells me what type of line to have. Now, I got to figure out type of, not type of shading, where to shade. Because since we're doing inequalities, that means there can be more than one answer. Like if I had something like X is greater than 3, well, y'all, there's a whole lot of numbers that are greater than 3. So there's more than one answer. So we're going to sort of shade to represent our answers. So there's two choices on where to shade. If it's greater than or equal or greater than. So basically, if it's got greater than on it, we're going to shade above the line. Okay. Now the shade in Math Lab, they'll give you, it looks like a little paint can looking thing. So the shade, you click on that little paint can and then drag it either above or below the line. So y'all, if greater than stuff shades above the line, less than or less than and equal, guess what? They're going to shade below the line. Now I'm going to show you how to do these on the calculator. Now the only thing, the calculator can't make the dotted lines and the slash lines, but it will shade for us. Now if you want to shade above a line on the calculator, to shade above the line, they'll have a triangle like that. That's bigger on the top. To shade below the line, they'll have a triangle that's bottom heavy. So I'll show you how to use these to shade in the calculator, okay? So greater than shades above, less than will shade below. Now, everything else you're going to do as far as being able to graph the line, we're going to pick 2 points for the X's, solve them for the Y values, and graph them. So y'all, let me grab some graph paper out. So I'll actually graph these on graph paper so y'all can see what's going on. So let me pull that down a little bit right there. So for number 1, they want me to graph y is greater than x minus 4. Now this one's already solved for y. So what we're going to do is pick 2 x values, plug them in, and get our y values. And y'all, I'm going to use the two easy numbers. I'm going to use a 0 because I know 0 minus 4 gives us a minus 4. And then I'm going to let my second x be a 4 because 4 minus 4 gives me a 0. So notice I've now got 2 points. So we're going to plot the 2 points. So here's 0 for the x. I'm going to go down here to -4 and plot my first point. Y'all, that's a little hard to see. Let me use my green to highlight that. All right, so there's my first point, 0, -4. The second point I have is 4, 0. So go right 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is right here. So I'm going to highlight that. So y'all, I got my 2 points. So my first question would be, do I want my line to be solid or dashed? And remember, you're looking at that bad boy right there.
It's gonna be
Dash.
dotted. It's gonna be
Dotted.
dashed.
It's going to be dashed. So now on Math Lab, they'll have a solid line and a dashed one. Use your tool to graph the line and then the dash. And that thing's going to come in here and draw a dash or two here. All right, so there's my dash line. Second question, y'all. Am I going to shade above or below?
You gonna shade
Above.
below? Yeah, above. My bad.
Above.
I heard two. Okay, so y'all saying above because it's greater than. We shade above the line. So technically, we'd grab the paint can and put it up here, and it's going to shade this whole area up here. And it'll shade that whole area for us, okay? That means any point in this shaded area makes this a true equation. Right here's 0, 0 in the middle. If you put a 0 in for the y and a 0 for the x, you'd get 0 greater than -4, which is true. So that's why all this is shaded. Any point here will make that true. Hey, also that's done. So watch this one on the calculator. That's already solved, right? So let me go to my calculator. All right, I'm gonna clear everything and then clear my key over here. All right, so on the calculator, you go to y equals. You're going to put in your x minus 4. So I got an x minus 4. Now, like I said, it won't draw dotted lines, but we can get it to shade. So how to get it to shade is you're going to arrow left until you get to the left side of that y1. See how I'm on the left side and that's blinking now? I'm going to hit enter until I get my triangle that was above, bigger on top. So you come down and hit enter once you got it on the left side of that Y1. Enter, enter. All right, there's my triangle that's bigger on the on top. Now I'm going to do it once more just to show you less than. Less than, you would use this triangle that's bigger on the bottom. So y'all let me hit enter to get it back to my triangle above. All right, once I got that highlighted for triangle above, I'm going to hit graph. And y'all, that looks pretty much like a graph we did a while ago. Now, if you're lazy and you don't want to pick points, hit second graph for your table. And y'all, there's my 0, -4, and my 4, 0. But you can come in here, grab 2 points that you want, go to MathLab, plot them, and be done. Now, let me ask y'all this. Is anybody using a TI-84 CE? So no one's using the color calculator, the CE calculator? All right, then, so we're good to go. Because they're similar to get to the shading, but they're a little bit different, okay? All right, y'all, so let me see. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit. So here's number 2. I got 3x minus 5y is less than or equal to a -20. So you know they're going to throw you a curveball. So this one, we actually got to solve for the y, especially if you're going to put it on the calculator. So this one, we got to solve for the y. So your first step, get that -5y by itself. You're going to subtract the 3x to move it over. And y'all, that's going to be y'all's first move. Move that x over by adding or subtracting. So that cancels. You'll have your 5y less than or equal. Now, those are not like terms. So I'm just going to put them in order. So you could do either -20 minus 3x, or you can do minus 3x minus the 20. Either way will work. But y'all, the tricky part of this graph is now, to make that a 1y, I got to divide everybody by -5. Do y'all remember what happens to this little inequality when you divide by negatives?
The sign change.
Yeah. So it sort of flips it around, right? So if it was less than, when you divide by negatives, you got to flip it around and make it a greater than. Now, we don't do that when we divide by positive numbers, only by these negatives. So y'all, let's see what we get. The 5's cancel here. So I now have y greater than or equal. So if you're starting with a negative y, this definitely will switch by the time you're done. All right, yeah, watch this. Negative divided by negative makes that a positive 3/5 x. That negative 20 divided by that negative 5 makes that a positive 4. So if I was using two numbers on that one, I'm always going to use a 0, because 0 times 3/5 is 0. 0 plus 4 will give us a 4. The second number I would pick would be a 5 because of that fraction. So y'all watch this. If I put a 5 in for the x, well, look what happens to them 5s. They cancel, and I now have 3 plus 4, which will give me 7. So when x is 5, y is 7. So if I got a fraction, I always use this number on the bottom, because that way I don't get fractions over here to try to graph. So y'all, let's plot our 2 points. 0 up 4. So that's put me right here on the y-axis. This point is 5, 7. So we're going to go right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 7. So that's going to put me right here. All right. Remember, you can go in there. Once you got this solved like this, you can plug that into the calculator and get you 2 points, okay? But the first thing I want to know, is this line solid or dashed?
Solid.
It is definitely solid this time. So we're going through there. Now, my second question, are you going to shade it above or below? Above, because it's greater than. So y'all, this thing is going to shade all up in here. All right, so let me show you on that calculator. I'm going to go to my y equals and clear out that one. Now notice when I clear it, it clears away the greater than, less than. So remember, to put in a fraction, I can hit alpha y equals and hit enter. And put in my 3 on top. Put in my 5 on the bottom. Arrow to the right and put my x. And then I had at the end a plus 4. All right, so we're going to go all the way left to the y1 again. And y'all said shade above, so we want a triangle that's bigger on the top. So hit enter until we get that triangle that's shaded on the top. And y'all, I'm going to hit graph and watch that. Looks just like what we graphed. Now remember, if you wanted points, hit second graph to get your table. So you see why I used a 5, I got a 7. If I'd have used 1, 2, 3, 4, y'all, I'd have had to try to plot them fractions there. 23/5, 26/5, and so on. So to avoid fractions, use numbers that cancel them denominators, okay? All right, then once again, there's our graph. Oh, y'all, this next one, let me show you what this next one has. Let me get this thing back squared away here. So number 3 wants me to graph the linear inequality. But y'all, number 3, they got this. X is greater than -4. So notice there's no y's in this one. So when you got x less than or greater than a number, here's what's going to happen. Since that's an x, this is going to be a vertical line at -4 on the x-axis. Okay. Now, if you was to pick points and graph this in MATLAB, well, it's saying x, this is like x equals -4 when you graph it. So this is telling me that x has to be -4 for both points. No matter what y values you pick, that x has to be -4. So y'all, then you can pick any two y values you want. So what's the easy number? 0 and 1. But remember this, on this problem, x has to be -4 for every point. It has to be -4 for every point. So to graph that, remember it's a vertical line at -4 on the x-axis. Well, here's -4 on the x-axis. So I'm going to put a point on it. And then you can either go up 1, down 1, and put another point. As long as you put 2 points on the x-axis going in a vertical line, okay? So this is the only one that you cannot do on the calculator because it doesn't have a y. It's only got the x, okay? But my first question, y'all, I'm going to draw a vertical line right here. Will that vertical line be solid or dashed?
Dash.
All right, so we got these dashes going up. Ooh, hard to see my dashes on this. But it's definitely dashes. And this is the only one where you're not going to shade above or below because this is either going to be left or right. But here's my question. When I shade the left side or the right side for my x's being greater than -4?
You
The left side?
The
No, the right side.
right
Okay,
side.
there you go. I want that right side because remember, these x's get bigger as you go to the right. So any of these numbers like 2 is greater than -4. 4 is greater than -4. So anything on this right side will be greater than that -4 for the x values. So in MATLAB, grab that paint can and stick it on that right side there. Okay. So remember, x, vertical line at -4. So come over to -4, bam, 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 and be done, okay? All right, y'all. So let's see what they did on number 4 here. It is really similar to that one. So on number 4, they're giving me y is greater than or equal to -6. So y'all, this is the other special line. There's no x coordinate in this thing. So when you got a y value with no x value, this will not be a vertical line. It will be a horizontal line. So this is a horizontal line going through the x value. I mean, not the x value, but going through the y value of -6. So y'all, if you was to graph this thing picking points, well, guess what? The y would have to be a -6 every time. So the y must be -6 here, okay? So if you wanted to plot points, you could just pick any two x values. So I use 0s and 1s usually. But y'all, here's what you're doing. Y equals -6. You're going to come down to -6 on the y-axis here and put a point. And then remember, horizontal line goes left to right. So you can put another point anywhere on here. Once you put another point going straight across, MATLAB's going to draw the line. But y'all, is MATLAB going to draw this line dotted or do we want it dashed?
Solid.
Solid.
Solid. There you go. So we'll have a solid line coming across here at -6. That way, anywhere on this line, if you look at it, this has an x value of 4, but a y value -6. 6, -6. That line shows me that those y values are always going to be -6. Second question. Am I going to shade this one above or below?
Above.
Above. So we would come in and shade that thing above. Now, here's what's nice. Since that's the y coordinate, we can do that one on the calculator. So we could go to our calculator, go to our y equals, and clear that out. So y greater than or equal to 6. The only thing I got in here is a 6. Because there's no x variable. Now, arrow all the way right. And we said above. So hit enter until we get that triangle above. So there's my triangle bigger on top. Hit graph. And y'all, there you go. There's our line. Whoops, I hit 6. I needed a what? My bad. That was a -6. All right, so y'all can't change the problem. So we had y greater than or equal to -6. So now let me graph that. And there you go. Looks what we drawn. Now I want you to see the table to show you that every one of these y values, look at every one of these y values when I do that. Y'all, no matter what I got, where I go, look at that. Every one of them y values is equal to -6. And that's what's going to happen when you don't have a x variable. And then the one I did for number 3 where it was x, if you went through there, every one of them x's would have been -4 on that one. But we can't graph the x lines on our calculator, so there you go. All righty. So here's the thing. We were learning how to do that so that we could solve this one system of equations. So right here, they want us to graph the system of inequalities. Now, it's a little different than these straight lines because this will be 2 lines. Now,
It's still on your calculator, Mr. Eugene.
oh, did it not switch my? Oh, I didn't reshare back. My bad. Let me go back to my. All right, so now y'all with me? So this one, we're going to graph the system of inequalities. So y'all, here's the thing. The solution to a system of inequalities.
I still can't see your paper, so I'm gonna leave and come back because I don't know. It's probably my computer.
Oh, is anybody seeing my paper at all?
I can
Yes,
see
I can see
I can
it.
see.
Okay, it's my computer. I'm gonna leave and come back.
Okay, that'll work. I'll let you right back in. All right, y'all. So the solution to a system of inequalities is the double shaded region. Okay, so I'll shade my one greater above or below. I'll shade my second line above or below. Where they overlap will be the solution to our problem. Okay, so we're going to be shading 2 lines and looking for where they overlap. Now, y'all, they were nice on these and had them both solved for already. I got y greater than or equal to an x plus 1. And they're giving me y less than or equal to 1 minus x. So I'll probably do this one on this paper so that y'all can see where I'm getting double shaded at. And then I'll show you this on the calculator. All right, y'all. So let me go. I got pretty small numbers. So I'm just going to number out about 5 on this. Diamond, did that fix you going out and back in?
Yes, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So y'all, I'm just gonna pick 2 points for that one and graph it. Then I'll pick 2 points for this one and graph it. And since there's no fractions, I'm going to use zeros and ones for all my x's. So here, if I put a 0 in, 0 plus 1 gives me 1 for that y value. If I put a 1 in, 1 plus 1 gives me 2 for that y value. So y'all, let's plot the first line. 0, 1. So 0 up 1. And then I had 1, 2. So right 1 up 2. So y'all, my first line, will that be solid or dotted?
Solid.
All right, we're going to have a solid line coming through. Now, would you shade that one above or below?
Above.
Above.
So that one's shading all up and above it. All right, so let's play with this. And I'm going to put a 0 in for the x. 1 minus 0 is 1. I put a 1 in for the x. 1 minus 1 is 0. So that one has the point 0, 1, which is that point already. And then 1, 0 would be right 1 and stay on the line. Second line's going right here. Is it going to be solid or dotted?
Solid.
Solid.
So this line's coming down here solid also. Is it going to shade above this line or below?
Below.
Low.
So for below, I'm going to go this way like that. So can y'all tell me where my double shaded region is? It's this little section right here. Right, I got it shaded going up here and shading going across. This section over here only shades above. And then this section over here only shades below. So y'all look at how they put the answers. They'll give you 4 answers, and you want the one that represents your double shaded area. Now, y'all, I'm going to do that on my calculator. But I'm going to show you it on both calculators just so y'all see what the CE ones do. So remember, I got 2 lines. So my first line is x plus 1. And y'all, that one we said shaded above. So let me hit that until I get the triangle above. Now I'm going to go down to this one and put in my second, which was 1 minus x. And that one we said shaded below. So I'm going to hit enter until I got my triangle bigger on the bottom. So there's my 2 lines ready to go. So I'm going to hit graph. And y'all look on that left side, you can see it's really dark where it double shaded it, okay? So that's the only section that's the answer to both of these equations. So y'all, let me show you what's fun with this other calculator. I don't know if anyone had the CE or not. So let it switch over to my CE. So let me go to y equals on it. My first line was x plus 1. So I'm going to do x plus 1. Now watch when I go all the way left on this calculator. I'm going to hit enter on that, but it'll bring up another box. It tells you what color you want your line. So I can go through and shade this first one, magenta, green, orange. So I'm going to pick orange on that one, arrow down, and then I got to do the triangle above. There it is. Come down and tell it okay. Now let me go down to my next one. That was what? 1 minus x. All right, I'm going to go all the way left to tell it this one's going to shade below. And so I could either use light blue, yellow, white, gray, medium gray, gray. It gives you all these options on these colors. So, hell, this Halloween, I'm going to use black and orange. This one's shaded below, so I'm going to hit arrow right until I get the small triangle, and then go down and say, okay. So, y'all, this is what your money pays for when you buy the CE color enhanced version. When you hit graph, there's your orange, there's your black, and we can tell the double shaded area is that region on the left.
Where can you get a CE from? Off Amazon?
Oh, you can get them, yeah, probably Walmart and Target, maybe, but if
Is
you
it
want
more
that color
expensive?
one like that, you could probably Amazon probably be the cheapest.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah. Our bookstore really marks stuff up, so
Yes, they do.
so I would definitely probably go to Amazon or something like that. All right, y'all. So let's see. That's 3.7.
All right. What did you click on for the color?
Do you got a CE?
I must miss that part. No.
Yeah. So it only works on these little fancy TI 84 plus CEs. If you got one like I was using a while ago, just a regular 84 plus, like this one, it only does everything in black. So to get that color, you probably got to spend another $30 or $40 on that calculator.
On Amazon, it seemed like the CE cheaper than the Plus for some reason, and they easier to find than the
Oh,
Plus.
really? Well, hell, if it is, then snatch that thing up, okay?
I was showing like I just didn't. I thought it was extra stuff you had to do to use it. That's why I didn't think to get that one.
Yeah, that's it. It's just more advanced and does the color, but you have to really, instead of just going over there and picking the above triangle or below triangle, you have to click on it, pick what color you want it to shade it,
I seen it.
and then pick your triangle to do the above or below.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So that was 3.6 and 3.7. So play with them. Monday night, we're reviewing for test 1. Now I got the review open already. We'll review for test 1. Test 1 is opening on Monday, and then it'll be due that next Sunday. So that'll be, let's see, the 24th, I think, will be when test 1 will be due.
Now,
Now
is
we
that the
will
one you
start.
said?
Say again.
Is that the one you said we can practice with, or is this not the is this not the one that's before the exam? This is just the test.
Oh, this one, yeah, this one is the one I would really practice with, get good on, because it counts as a quiz grade also, but it's only
Okay.
5% of your grade. But
Okay.
get good on it, because then when you do my test, you'll knock that test out, and the test member is like, oh, what a test like 50% of your grade, okay?
Okay, but this is the one we can do over again.
Over and over until you get a
Okay,
good grade,
okay.
and then once you get a good grade on it, you'll be good to go for my test, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it'll say test 1 review quiz or something like that.
Okay.
And it's the same 20 questions as on my test. The only difference is you can do the review, like you said, as many times as you want. The test only gets 1 shot, okay? All righty, y'all. So I'm going to stop my recording. So